Hey everyone, Don Peterson here. This is kind of an impromptu. I'm going live. Did a little test yesterday, so I'm going to do another one today and try to do 15-20 minutes here of golf instruction for those of you who are tuning in after a rough day of golf maybe, or maybe it was raining where you are. Yeah, I'm down here just north of Atlanta. This is my training studio, and I'm a feature golf instructor at the Hotel at Avalon. And sorry, I had something pop up here. I don't know. Just said continue without Don Peterson. That's me. I guess it's my Facebook. So anyway, what I wanted to do is I'm going to introduce Miyagi for Golf, which is my lifelong kind of training style or system of golf instruction. And I'm going to introduce it over the next couple of months by doing a lot of live broadcasts. I'm going to do some events at some local venues around here. One of them is pretty neat place called Fairway Social. It's up in Alpharetta. It's a kind of a 2 or 3 story event facility with a lot of golf simulators in it. It's got outdoor golf, putting, artificial turf and everything. Really nice area. It's got a couple bars in it and restaurant. So it's kind of like a mini Topgolf with a whole bunch of simulators. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm going to go up there and do some things for them. And I call it Come Get Miyagi for Golf, because I did corporate golf entertainment and corporate golf instruction for Anheuser-Busch and RJ Reynolds and a whole bunch of different groups when I was younger. One of the things I found out was, as I worked, what I was doing was I would have people come and stand in line to get lessons from me. And the faster I worked, the more people could see me. So I became very quick at making change to golfers so that I could show them a little bit before and after on video, and then kind of send them on their way to let them practice it on their own. So, I kind of have a different style of training. The Miyagi for Golf came from Karate Kid, the movie. So I used to tell people all the time who ask about my style, I would say, well, it's kind of like Miyagi, because he would wax on, wax off, and paint the fence, and he taught Daniel how to fight or do karate by doing these drills or exercises or these chores or tasks. So I kind of did the same thing for golf. Years ago, I broke down the swing into easy to learn parts. And I'll give you an example of one right now. I had people, I would start them off, and again, this goes back to some of the training. I had a couple classes in a gymnasium one time, about 22 people, and we were doing a golf class, and they all had clubs in their hands, but they were all beginners. And I didn't want them to hit the parquet floor. So what I did was I had them swing in the air, and I had them do a whole bunch of drills before they made any swinging attempts. And again, there was no balls involved, so it was just practice swinging the club. And I noticed after 4 sessions of working with these students that they improved more just swinging through the air than golfers who actually swung at a golf ball on the ground. Because what happens with a lot of golfers when they swing at a ball on the ground is they have a tendency to lift and pull down with the arms. And good players, we're finding out more and more, good players don't use their arms as much as they use their pivot to propel the arms. So rather than using muscles in the arms to propel the club, a good player sticks the arms out, uses the body muscles to propel the arms and the club back and forth. And we know that this improves sequencing, power, accuracy, and everything. So what I was doing in those classes without knowing it was I was actually teaching these people better swings because they were not using their arms as much to try to lift the club and get that turf to come or ball to come off of the turf by flipping at it with their hands. So anyway, I started off with a drill similar to this. I'll give it to you. It's really simple. It's a turn through drill. So I'm a right-handed golfer, so when I turn through, I turn to my left, and my target's to my left. If you're a left-handed golfer, then it's off to your right. But we talk about lead and trail. So target side is lead side, trail side then would be away from the target. So if my target's over here to my left, then my trail side's to my right. So I'll talk to you in those terms. But hold the club up in front of you. If you want to do this at home or wherever you are, you can turn that lead foot open about 45 degrees. And I might have some of you turn it even more open if you've never posted up on your lead side like that. You might need to turn your foot more open to start with to get this feeling. But turn it at least 45 degrees. Stand with your feet fairly close together because we're going to learn to transfer the weight directly up onto our lead side. You're going to hold the club right in front of you like this. Try not to move your arms or your shoulders. I see people when I tell them to do this, I see them lead with their shoulders a lot of times, and you can see the knee and the foot are back there. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get the motion to come from the ground up, and we want the knee and the trail foot to come right up on the tiptoe. In fact, one of the first things that you want to do is you want to feel the weight come off of that trail heel. And if I turn around, you can kind of see how that's the first thing, is the heel's coming off the ground as I come through. And then, of course, I'm standing pretty tall, so my lead leg is also very tall and straight. So when I come forward onto my lead leg, I'm tall and I'm going to be facing the target. So here I am, lead foot turned open a little bit. I'm going to rotate through, stand tall. My chest and my hips and everything rotate almost a perfect 90 degrees. So if I start off here, I'm going to finish here, all right? And that's the first move in the drill. And you notice when I do this, I'm actually moving the club without using my arms or hands. Now I'm moving it by rotating my torso and shifting my weight. And it's a rotary motion turning towards the target, or through towards the target. Now I'm going to lower the club down. And what's interesting here is I'm still going to be moving that club and that club head with my body and my core. I'm not using my arms or hands. It feels like I kind of push the club through, which is interesting because I've got other drills where I actually teach people to kind of feel that, like you're pushing the club with your trail side and your trail hip. So anyway, practice just turning through. And again, this is your follow through. You're trying to stick the finish, I call it. So then you can add a little backswing where you just hinge your wrists right here about waist high. And when you hinge your wrists, you can see the butt end here kind of cocks away from me and the shaft comes in, and this makes a little bit of an L. And now once you get to here, you just go back through with that right knee. And I've got other drills I call slam the cymbals. So one of them I tell students to pretend they have cymbals on the inside of their knees. And when they go through, you want to slam the trail cymbal into the lead cymbal. And the more briskly you do that, the faster you can turn your hips like that, then that's going to speed the club up as you go through the golf ball, because the faster the inside moves, the faster the outside moves, right? So now you can kind of understand how we're kind of eliminating the arms from doing anything. And I'm learning to, shift weight and pivot away from the ball or away from the target and then through to the target without even thinking about the ball. And this is all good training. And this is how, like I said, a lot of those students who were in the gymnasium developed really nice swings, because we walked through proper motion, proper sequencing, without any hit tendency and without any negative feedback, because a lot of times when people try hitting golf balls off the ground, they get negative results, and that causes problems. And then they have misperceptions, and that causes problems, because I see a lot of golfers, they have perceptions of what has to happen. A lot of golfers think you're supposed to snap your hands and just get a lot of speed and kind of pick that ball as you're going through the golf ball, but that's not what happens. Tour pros actually have what we call forward shaft lean, where the bottom of the swing arc is actually after they've struck the ball. So the club is moving a little bit on a downward arc, but it's also moving not downward into the turf, it's moving downward towards the ball, but then it goes through the golf ball towards the target as it skims off of the ground. So this is, again, an important part of learning to swing properly, is that you're not really hitting the golf ball, you're sweeping it. And you're just letting the club release itself through the golf ball on its way towards the target. Now, the club head doesn't go towards the target only for one reason, because it's attached to the shaft. So what happens is, it looks like when you hit a really good golf ball, it almost looks like the ball and the club head are going off together towards the target, because good players release the club going towards the target like this. It's in here close to them, and then when they let it release, it flies towards the target. It doesn't fly downward into the ground. It flies through the ball towards the target. And when you're watching slow speed video, it almost looks like the ball and the club head are flying off towards the target in a straight line. But then what happens is the club head's attached to the shaft. So instead of continuing towards the target, it gets pulled around me because of my rotation and because I'm hanging onto it with my hands. So maybe some of this will kind of resonate with some of you, and you can start learning how to train yourself to swing better, because most of you probably are struggling with this game, because we have lots of people that I watch hit golf balls out here and they don't do so well. So most of the time they don't do so well because they just haven't learned properly and they don't have the right sequencing, the right concepts and things like that. So that's what Miyagi for Golf is all about, is I came up with a whole training style that teaches you how to do it right. You can see here I've got a box. This is the golfer's tee box that I came up with, and it comes with tools in it. We're going to ship that to our customers who want to learn in the comfort of their own home. And then I've got the larger balls that come inside the box, and you actually learn to train on the larger ball, okay, because it makes it easier for you to not have to hit up or down on it. You really just kind of sweep through the larger ball. This particular ball is a 2.2 ounce ball, so it's almost the same weight as a golf ball, but it's big and it's light, and it's called a no-sting baseball. They actually use these for baseball training for smaller kids, because they don't hurt so much if the kid hits it off their arm or something like that. But I encourage people, when you practice in your own home, not to use real golf balls. So we use the larger wiffle balls, or these no-sting baseballs like this. And so anyway, getting back to the instruction part of it. So if you're interested in learning golf from someone like me, then I've got online training now, and it's called Miyagi for Golf, and it'll be available soon. And that's why I'm getting practice doing some of these videos and these streams, so that I can start promoting my product. And like I said, I'm going to start doing events where I actually tell students to come in and see me, and I'll actually work with students and show you how quick I can change their swing by using my Miyagi for Golf method of training and change, because that's what the hardest part about golf is golfers don't know how to change. Fortunately for you, you don't have to know, because I know, and I can show you how to make change. Most golfers and most teachers, I hate to say this, I don't like to slam teachers, but I've given over 100,000 lessons, and you only learn stuff like this after experience. One of the things I learned is that when I put a ball on the ground and I ask a student to hit it, he's going to access the same muscle firing pattern that he's always accessed. You kind of have a reaction. It's like if I threw you a basketball and you play basketball, you'd catch it and maybe you'd just immediately dribble it, right? Because it's kind of a reaction. You catch and then you dribble, or catch and then you pass, catch and then you shoot. So you kind of build these reactions in. Well, golf's kind of the same way. You get ready to hit the ball, and then you reactively just take the club back however you've been doing it. And like I said, you have this muscle firing pattern in your brain that causes most of your bad shots. Now, here's what's interesting. A lot of students, a lot of you guys out there, you think when you make a good golf shot, you made a good swing. And when you make a bad golf shot, you made a bad swing. That's not what's happening. If you looked at Tiger Woods most of the time, or we could pick almost anybody, John Rahm, you couldn't tell one of his swings from another. Looks the same almost every time. If he hit a bad shot, you could not tell unless you looked at the expression on his face. But if you just looked at the swing of a good shot and a bad shot, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference from one from the other. It's the same thing with your swing. You could hit a slice that went 60 yards into the woods, and in the next swing, I could look at the exact same swing on video. It looked the same to me, but you would have hit one 260 down the middle. And I couldn't really tell unless I watched the ball. But looking at the sequencing of the swing, the shape of the swing, the positions of your swing, every one of those swings is the same. The problem is it doesn't produce the same result. So yes, your impact might look slightly different. It's not going to look enough different unless you look at impact with the ball and the face being open or closed. You look at the minute details of impact, then you're going to see. But the swing causes inaccurate shots. If you have a bad swing, your swing is inaccurate, 90% of the time and accurate 10% of the time. Where Tiger Woods, he's accurate 90% of the time, inaccurate 10% of the time. So I think you get my gist there, but what we want to do is we want to then start improving your swing, and we've got to change then the muscle firing pattern in your brain. And to do that, I can't ask you to hit a golf ball off the ground, because you're just going to react to it and do the same thing you've always done. Even if I said try this or try that, or hey, take the club back like this, you're still using the same muscles to start the club back and start the club down, and nothing's going to really change. So the way to make change is to take you away from your natural ball hitting environment, which is small ball off of the ground, and give you a large ball and put it in the air. It doesn't matter whether, there was a teacher that I learned some of this from. I didn't really learn from him. I just heard about him. His name was Irv Schloss, and he's probably long gone, but he taught back in the days when I was playing on the mini tours down in Florida. And I didn't take lessons from him. I had a friend take lessons from me. And he came back, and this guy was a mini tour player. He was trying to play the tour, and he was a good player, had a beautiful swing. But Irv Schloss had him choking down on a 5-iron and hitting balls off of a table where the ball was about knee-high into a net. So he was practicing his swing at about, just above knee-high. And so I remembered that when I started training golfers. Eventually, I kind of fell into the same thing that Irv Schloss did. Was I started understanding that the ball on the turf is what causes a lot of tilting and lifting, and people misperceiving how to hit that golf ball and get it in the air. And a lot of that can be solved by just raising the ball up in the air. And instead of people tilting, they start turning and swinging more horizontally, right? But a good golf swing is really a baseball swing that's just tilted towards the ground then, okay? Instead of lifting, we're just going to take that baseball swing that's here, right? Because I'm standing up, and then I'm just going to take this swing, I'm going to tilt it towards the ground. And it's still kind of an around and round swing, but it's not lifting and pulling down. So I think I've been going for about 20 minutes now. I don't have any idea how many people are watching this. I tried to go live on about 4 different channels. I'm on YouTube, a couple places on YouTube, and then I've got some Facebook pages that I'm promoting. Eventually I want to go live on 10 locations, and we'll try to get more and more people. So if you're watching this and you kind of like some of the content that I'm going to be spewing out of my 45 some years of teaching and training golf, I've given, like I said, 100,000 lessons. So a lot of what I've learned is not that technical. It's actually, it's funny because I'll tell you a quick story. I was down at Orlando. I go down every year for the golf show, but there's also golf training. There's everybody shows up down there. So you've got the greatest golf minds in the industry all converging on Orlando during the week of the golf show. So you always bump into top teachers, and you got fitness trainers, and just everybody who loves golf and is trying to figure out best ways to train, best ways to teach, best ways to hit, best swing methodology, best training aids, best launch monitors. All that stuff's down there for us to take advantage of. So I went down one year, and there's a lot of forums, and some of these forums have like 600 teachers in there, and they're all chattering back and forth with their big egos, and everyone knows more about how to train a golfer than the next. And I remember sitting in the back, and I was standing next to some people, and somebody got up on the stage, and they were very adamant about how the putting stroke is not a pendulum. And I guess he had scientific proof that it's not, which is fine. You can prove anything you want in golf, I'm pretty sure. If you put enough science to it, you can prove what you want it to say. But he was very adamant about it's not a pendulum. But I've had lots of training and lots of students who, when I get them tick-tocking, I say, yeah, just like a clock going back and forth, and they might say to me, like a pendulum? I say, yeah, let's make it like a pendulum, just tick-tock. And if I have a student who's making every putt, and he's thinking that golf swing or putting stroke's like a pendulum, why would I change that? Why would I say listen, you idiot, it's not a pendulum. I would never say that. I'd say, wow, that's a great analogy you came up with. Go ahead and use that. So in my golf training over the years, I've listened to a lot of students tell me things, how they explained the swing or how they explained the change. Like I might have made a change to them and they said, oh, wow, Don, that feels like this. And I go, really? I never heard anybody say that before. I'll give you an example. We try to teach chipping to students where you have forward shaft lean and you don't flip. This is called a flip in the full swing, but it's also a flip in a little chip shot. And it causes you to, a lot of times, hit behind it and duff it. Sometimes it causes you to blade the ball. Actually, I'm not far enough away you can see the ball. So a lot of times people will chip and they push at it with their trail hand, and it pushes the shaft forward like that, breaks down the lead hand, and messes up the chip shot. So for years, we've been trying to come up with all different ideas. Golf instructors have you grab 2 clubs or maybe an alignment stick like this, and you'll hold it together like this, and it kind of helps. It makes it hard for you if you hold 2 clubs like this, hold one underneath of your left arm or your lead arm. It makes it hard for you to flip that club. So now all of a sudden you've got to be more like you're rocking your shoulders, and you can see how if I put the ball back in my stance, now I'm going to always have forward shaft lean. Well, I was showing this to her, and this lady, and she finally got it. I just said to her, I said, wow, it took us about 20 minutes to get her to do that. And I said, how would you describe that to me? What did that feel like? And she just looked at me, she goes, oh, I scraped it. So I started using that word because it's a very good word. It felt like she scraped it off of the ground. So she was just scraping the ground with the club head. And to do that, she had to keep her hands ahead as she was scraping it. So that was me learning from her, learning verbiage or technology or terminology. So I try not to come at students with my terms. I try to come at them with their terms. So I'm always constantly asking my students how they felt this was or how they would describe that. And I have them describe what they feel like they're doing now versus maybe what I have them do in a drill, things like that. So this is kind of where online instruction can be good. I used to think that online instruction would never really take off because in-person lessons are so much better. But now I'm finding that there's so many instructors out there. There's so much instruction now because of YouTube and video that people are getting poor instruction and they're getting poor advice. So now I'm starting to look at online lessons as, okay, it's a chance for a student to get actually good knowledge from a good teacher if they seek out the right teachers. So I'm hoping to be one of those that you can communicate with, and online training with a good coach I think can be good, again with the right communication. Zoom and things like that make it very good now. So I can see where passing swings back and forth, working on things on your own, communicating with a good teacher, and you can really improve your game and improve your technique. So my voice is getting tired, so I'm going to call it ends here today, but keep coming back and checking us out, because we're going to, I think with YouTube, they like to look at, excuse me, they like to look at live broadcasts and things like that, and they start improving rankings. So I'm hoping to start moving up, and as we move up, we'll gain a bigger audience. And then we'll see the launch of my products, the launch of Miyagi for Golf, and we'll move forward from there. I'm looking forward to sharing all of what I've learned over these years with you and letting you watch me teach and things like that. So take care.